What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Conversations with Joshua T Berglan. Today, we have a guest that I think we had about 15, 20, maybe even 30 interviews set up, and just random things kept on happening. But I know in my heart this is going to be worth the wait because I admire persistence and I admire people that don't give up. So in this case, it's just about an interview. So it's kind of like really not that big of a deal. But then again, to me, it's the little things that matter. So Macarena, I am so honored and I'm so excited to have you here because the more I've learned about you through checking you out and what you're up to, you've been surrounded by some of the most brilliant minds in personal development and becoming the greatest versions of ourselves, some of the teachers, some of the masters. But I got to tell you, I kind of think that you're one of those yourself. So I am honored to have you here. Macarena, welcome to Conversations with Joshua T Berglan.
Thank you. That's so sweet. I love that introduction. Tell me more about me. I definitely need that ego booster today. You know those days that you feel like you're not in the place you want to be, or that you're not there yet. And I started the day like beautiful. I did that great workout, all these things, and then it kind of like started going down. So I'm excited. Yes, tell me more.
Okay, this is good. I'm happy that I don't plan questions because what you just said gives me like 5 episodes of content. You're a coach. You're a guru. How dare you not have your shit together?
Well, I do.
How dare you not have the perfect day? What is that? Okay, let's talk about this because there is an expectation, and obviously I'm kidding and I'm being very.
I know. Yeah, I understand.
Right. There is this expectation that we have of our thought leaders, of our politicians, of our celebrities, of our coaches, of our gurus, of our pastors, of our synagogue leaders, of all of the other religious figures that I can't think of off the top of my head, our shamans. Like, we have this expectation because you're the teacher, you can't have bad moments or bad days. I want you to just disrupt everything I just said.
Okay, well, first of all, I think that we teach what we need to learn the most, number one. So that's one thing, and that's why I think I'm pivoting into teaching something else because I need to learn it myself. And you know how when you explain something to someone, you try to, when you first learn something and then you explain it, you have to kind of like read it multiple times and explain it multiple times to actually master that concept. Then I think that it works a lot. It works for the rest of your life. It's not just with math. It's not just with like a chemistry concept. I think it works with everything. We're just not used to that. I don't think. I think we assume that people have their shit together because they are maybe 10 steps ahead in one aspect of their lives. So, but that's just an assumption, and I don't think that's true. But yes, I hear you, because I also think that's where imposter syndrome comes from. People who suffer from that, because they probably think that they should be at a certain level to teach those concepts, but I don't think that's the way it is. I think we all have our strengths and it's almost like we grow different areas of our self-esteem and our life at different paces. And that's when, I might be ahead of you in terms of whatever, I don't know, my health. But I'm behind you in relationships, certain things like this. So that's why, and also everyone has bad days. And I mean, it's kind of messed up because at the same time, we know what people are going through in the world today. So that also comes with the guilt of like, I should be thankful for everything I have. Yes. And also those emotions can coexist in the same mind, right?
Yeah. I really like that. I've been watching a lot of videos lately, and I should tell you that for the first 5 years I broadcasted, I was very against interviewing coaches. I had my reasons, And it was kind of like I didn't like interviewing pastors or other thought leaders. But then I got a coach myself. And I realized that my attitude towards coaches was a little bad. it was at a very negative connotation. And here's why. And I just showed the hypocrite that I can be, because I'd hung out with a lot of these coaches that I knew. And I toured with coaches and speakers that have spoke around, they do the speaking tours. Like I've hosted those, I've emceed them, I've been a speaker myself. I've seen behind the curtain, and I saw behind the curtain enough to go, I wouldn't let them coach me. I know what they're about. I know their other side. Yet at the same time, realizing that there's another side to me too. Like I am authentic, but I'm authentically an asshole too sometimes. I'm authentically a mess sometimes too. And it was just very, very wrong and judgy of me to have this attitude. And so it was a real eye-opener for me. And I guess the point that I was getting at is this. My attitudes changed about coaches. And right about the time that my attitudes changed about coaches, I've seen this new thing that's popping up through YouTube and other things, where there's a lot of anti-coaches that are speaking out against coaches, saying that we don't need them. We only need to go within and only need to listen to within. And that's the only guidance we need. We don't need any of these gurus.
Okay.
What is your thought? Because it's interesting for me I had that attitude for years. And then I started going, no, I need somebody, regardless of their imperfections, to point out my blind spots so that I can be the best version of myself I can be. But now there's this revolt against thought leaders, coaches, and gurus. What do you say to that? Because the world is changing, but what do you think about that?
Okay, I think I didn't know there was I guess I don't consume enough social media to know that there's like a thing against coaches. I think people are free. I mean, if it doesn't help them, they don't have to use them, But I also think that is as we were to say, I don't know, is that we were to say, yes, the Bible doesn't work. I mean, I am not religious at all. Having said that, if it serves a purpose to you, then read it. It's beyond. I think it's a very narrow-minded concept to think that there's only one way to achieve a fulfilling life. So, but if that's the way that people feel, then they can go within. It's really difficult, extremely difficult, almost. I would dare say almost impossible to see one's flaws and faults without someone helping you see them. And the reason for that, is because there's a lack of self-awareness that comes with the way we grow up. This is not something that we were taught in school. This is not something that our parents equipped us to say, oh, when you're 7 years old and someone punch you in the face, how many parents say, okay, so what did you do? They say, oh my God, poor you, so and so is so mean, most times, right? So by growing up that way in such an egocentric manner, then it's almost, it's very difficult to see that of ourselves. In addition to that, we don't have the tools to know that the relationships that we have are a mirror of ourselves. So the relationships that we have are the reflection of what we portray, of what we put out, right? So without having that concept, then how is one to reflect upon how are you behaving in order to make those changes? In addition to that, coaches have been around forever. We didn't call them coaches, so we call them whatever you want, right? Like you were pointing out, we had religious leaders and community leaders, and those were the coaches. You don't have to call them that, but the truth is, those were the people who, when communities came together, were able to say, okay, so let's use the analogy of being a good, I don't know, what would I say? That would apply in the US, football player, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so you're a great football player. So, but in order for you to become better, what you need to do is, if you want to join the, what is it called? The NBA? No, the other one.
The NFL.
Yes, yeah. Then the things that you need to work on are on your nutrition, on your workouts. I see that you're really good at passing, but you're not too fast. So let's work at your I don't know, sprinting. So those things are you're only able to point them out when you see someone from outside, right? You can watch tapes of yourself, great, and you can make those improvements. But there's a point that in order to, you can get up to a certain point, and then, I mean, the best, obviously, athletes in the world have coaches. There's a reason for it. They not only have coaches for that sport, they have multiple coaches. People who are very successful have a financial coach, a life coach, a career coach, a spiritual coach. You know, there's a reason for it. But if it doesn't serve that person the purpose, then you don't have to use it.
I love it. And here, because even bad advice, if we're able to truly be present and listen, even bad advice can be helpful. Because bad advice, we're like, well, I don't need that, or that doesn't work for me, but it can stimulate a thought that is right.
What do you mean by bad advice? What's bad advice?
Well, any kind of advice that is not beneficial or doesn't, or even feedback.
Okay.
Feedback that is not, it doesn't land. I could give a million examples, and I'll probably get myself in trouble with the examples I would give. But the point is, like, even advice that doesn't really land, feedback that doesn't land, even that, if I take it in, I'm like, that doesn't really apply to me, but it helps me become aware of something else. It doesn't. And again, I'm not giving a specific example here, but I think it benefits us just to listen. Like, it's in working.
But give me one example of what bad advice you're talking about, like, because so we can like unpack that.
Oh my God, I've had so much bad advice in my life. Now I got to think of one.
Yes, just one example.
Okay, I'll give you one. And I was trying to avoid doing this, but now I have no choice. I have a choice, but one of I was working with multiple coaches at the same time to do different things. I had a coach that recommended to me that, based on a situation that I was in between my partner and I, this coach recommended that I leave, that this relationship was not the right relationship for me.
This is like a romantic relationship or like a business relationship?
I call my partner because we're business partners, we're parenting partners, we're lovers, we're best friends. Like, we're partners and everything. So it's all part. So yeah, there's romance there. We got in an argument, and it was the kind of argument that, where there's one perception and another has a perception. This coach kind of encouraged me that I should leave, that this wasn't a healthy relationship for me.
Mm-hmm.
Why that wasn't good advice? Because I have mental uniqueness issues where sometimes my brain will perceive what's said to me in such a way that is not real. Or sometimes I hear things that is not real. Sometimes I see things that are not really there. That is my mental makeup. That is something I've dealt with most of my life. I was advised to leave by this person, and I'm trying to avoid some of the detail because I don't want to get anyone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm just trying to avoid that. But here's the point, is that she made this recommendation without having an understanding of what my mental uniqueness is. Therefore, not understanding that potentially I may have been hearing things that were not real. This is just a loose example.
Mm-hmm.
To advise me that this was not a healthy relationship for me could have been very, very detrimental, when this relationship is actually part of why I've been able to heal and function in society. And sometimes I have to deal with this. why working relationships have been challenging for me for over the years is because sometimes I don't know what's real. I don't hear what. So you can't really work in a, like, in this case, that was very, very bad advice.
Okay, but also there's another point to this. Coaches are not there to give you advice. Coaches are there. A good coach, an effective coach is there to see your potential and help you develop the skills needed to achieve what you're wanting to achieve. That's my view of a good coach. A good coach is not going to come and tell me, I think you should do this. I think you should that. For that, you have your friends and you have your mom and you have all your friends who are going to tell you what they think. So a coach to me is someone who sees, who has the capacity to see you from a bird's eye view and see the potential you have and extract those strengths and multiply them, help you multiply them. That's my view of a good coach.
Oh, I agree too. And I love that statement because I don't want advice from people unless if I ask for advice. That is for me one of the most triggering things that I can ever deal with is when someone gives me unsolicited advice because I don't want to hear all that for one.
Okay.
I mean, there's many reasons why.
Okay, but I mean, if that's triggering for you, then that's what's there to be explored. Because in reality, what people say, and like when you say you don't see things, you don't see a reality, well, no one sees the reality. We all see reality according to the lens that we're looking at your life. So if you put put on these glasses that I'm wearing now, you're not gonna see life the way I see it.
No.
Nor you will see it in a more clear way to you. The way you see life and everything that comes with it is according to your experience, not the true reality of what it is. So if you were to say, for instance, it triggers me when people give me unsolicited advice. Okay, but in reality, what matters is like the intention of that person, because people most times they don't have like ill intention. Most times people say things because they want to help, right? And if that lands the wrong way on you, is not their fault.
Well, I don't necessarily think that it's someone's fault. All I'm saying is that I don't like it when people give me unsolicited advice. That's it.
Okay.
I don't. It doesn't necessarily make me want to punch them in the face, but I don't like it, and I'm very capable of most of the time to not let things that bother me let it escalate to the point that I lose it. That is something I've worked so hard on the last 8 years of my life, and trying to rehabilitate not just from 20 years of chemsex addiction, but also from trauma and abuse, and then self-inflicted abuse, and then all the other to this healing journey has been very, very powerful. And the way that I've grown the most is by reversing what used to trigger me. That said, I still freaking hate it when people give me advice that I didn't ask for. and I don't punch them in the face for it, and I don't even like look at them funny. But I don't like, to me, I just don't like that. But then the coach using this place and sanctity of a trustful environment to give advice, what it did for me in that case, because one, I didn't ask for it and I didn't like it, but two, the advice that I was being given was not taking into consideration a lot of other things, and that made me not trust them anymore. Therefore, coaching went south in a hurry, because why in the world would any coach recommend that I leave a relationship that's been the only healthy relationship in my life, and I have tremendous progress and tremendous success and all of these other things? Like, that was insanity to me. Therefore,
so why do you think she gave you this advice?
Well, to be fair, because in that moment, I wasn't in a good place mentally because of how I was perceiving what was taking place.
Okay.
But either
Then
way, it was still her knowing my mental health stuff, like that still was not good advice to give.
I mean, and if you're in that space, also, I don't know. It's almost like, okay, maybe we should not discuss this right now, and wait until you're in a place where that discussion can take place more in a more objective way than. But okay, but needless to say, you fired that coach.
Oh yeah. We'll keep working together. But
Okay.
and I guess the reason why I even opened that pathway was to say that I was wrong, because when I played college football, I needed coaches, and I had lots of coaches, not just my position coaches, but I had strength coaches, I had diet coaches, and what they helped me do was be game ready. They helped me prepare. So by the time it was game time, I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Why I would think as an adult now at 44 years old that I don't need a coach, when I literally will describe my life in what I do as a game, as I'm preparing for a battle, I'm preparing for an event. It's this. I have the same mindset producing an event or putting on any other of the things that I get to create and do. I go into it mentally prepared, like I'm going into a football game or another competition that I've done. And why I would think that I don't need a coach is asinine to me. Absolutely. And because I have a tendency to let my ego get in the way in making me want to be right about everything, even though I work very hard on not needing to be right. I have a lot of very lazy, egocentric tendencies that will come out. And plus, I'm in entertainment. So then there's this need sometimes or a feeling that can come on like, well, I need to, spice things up today to be more entertaining or whatever it may be. Instead of being focused and staying in my lane, keep my eyes on the mission or the target, however you want to describe it, and just staying on track towards my purpose instead of getting lost in the weeds and going places that take me off of my path. Coaches help me stay focused. They help me stay lined up and ready to go. And they help me along the way be able to get rid of those little things that don't really belong in my life that are there to distract me.
Yeah.
So my attitude's completely changed, and I did not intend on spending 30 minutes on that subject. Anyway, so Margarina, tell me about you've trained under some of the most masterful people in this profession. But who would you say, in your opinion, has been the biggest influence on your coaching career?
Wow, that's a good question. I don't think I can answer that. And the reason why is because of the following. So I think, remember when we started talking, with the beginning of this conversation was, I think you teach what you need to learn the most.
Yeah.
So I think that depending on what phase of my life I was, then I learned different things from different people. I do have to say that one of the most impactful books I read has been by Byron Katie, who I didn't train with her.
Who?
Byron Katie.
I don't know who that is.
Okay, so she designed a framework that is called The Work. And this is when I realized, after I read her book, I mean, I don't know, a gazillion years ago. I am 15, so it wasn't a gazillion years ago, but it was quite a while ago. So her framework made me realize that, so it's 4 questions, right? So the first question is, I can't remember, I'm just going to paraphrase, okay? So the first question is it true? So whatever thoughts you have, you question that thought. Is it true? Is it absolutely true? And then from there, you go into this like depth of that thought, of exploring that thought. And then it goes into, again, I don't remember exactly, so I'm just going to tell you more or less. Is it who would you be without that thought?
Who would I be without that thought?
Yes.
Huh.
So then it brings the theory is that we are only unhappy when we believe our thoughts. We are only worried when we believe that thought. You don't have to believe the thoughts that come through your mind. So if that were the case, then you can actually choose your thoughts. And then if you choose your thoughts, you choose your emotions. Because emotions are a reaction to the thought you believe. So for instance, let's say, I'm going to say, okay. So this morning, for example, I remember I was telling you that I started my day great and then it went south, something happened. Okay. And then my thought was, I didn't analyze it at the time. I'm going to analyze it now with you because I was too pissed off to do it. So, sometimes you just want to feel sorry for yourself for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Okay. So I had one of those moments and I was very moody. But anyway, so I'm going to say that the thought is like, what a loser, right? I'm such a loser. Okay. So then now that I can reframe that in my mind. I'm going to say, am I a loser? Absolutely not. That's not true. So if I were to believe that thought, then how would that make me feel? And then you think, okay, so what happens if I don't believe that thought? And now what happens if I don't believe that thought and also think, who would I be without that thought? And then the best part of this framework is you turn that around. You turn around that specific thought with multiple questions, and then what is more true to yourself. So going back to this example, I'm a loser, and then it would be, I turn it around, I am not a loser. Wait, does that resonate? Actually, yes. But anyway, we keep going as an example, right? Or so if someone were to tell me you're a loser, then I would say, no, you are the loser, or whatever that is, right? Until you realize what's more true to you. So if you ask me what's the most impactful, I think that book is called it's called Loving What Is. And I think that's the one of the most transformational concepts that I learned, because until up to that point, I didn't know that you could choose your thoughts. Up to that point, I thought, you feel the way you feel and you think what you think. That's it. I didn't know that you could filter and question the thoughts that you have.
I like that a lot. Have you ever read Code of the Extraordinary Mind?
Yes.
Book changed my life.
For the same reason?
Yeah, because I read it when I was homeless, and it made me realize I wasn't crazy. It made me realize that all this going on up here, this dreams and visions, that was actually for me. And not realizing I was crazy gave me permission to go for my and of course it also helped that I didn't really have that many options other than to go all in on what I believed was why I was here, why I was created. I was kind of put in a corner, so it was a very synergistic effect of, well, shit, I'm out of options. Like, I've tried it every other way, so now I'm just going to try this path. Yeah. And this path is the one that was always with me every time I was molested or abused, and I would get a vision and I would see this different life. Well, that was the life. And that book helped me realize that I wasn't crazy. So that was very impactful for me. I got to meet Vishen. I cried like a baby, actually. It was kind of embarrassing. It kind of ruined the photo. I was crying so much. Anyway, it is nice. So I don't have those little, there's always these little people that I enjoy. You're right. Different paths, different teachers, things, had different people influence me, but I could never just pick one person. But if I think of one moment or one teaching style, for me, it would be Code of the Extraordinary Mind. So I love that answer.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, where are you at? What country?
I'm in New York City.
I mean, some would say that's a different country, but yeah. Okay. Well, the way you were talking earlier, about football, and I'm like, well, where are you at?
No, I mean, yeah, but I don't watch football. I'm from Uruguay, so we do soccer. We do real football, but anyway.
I have no comment to that because it football is the way that I would describe it. And I picked up soccer when I was 36, and I made the mistake of buying cheap soccer shoes or football shoes.
Yeah,
I've had bad feet since, but man, soccer's a fun sport. Oh my god, that is a blast. Anyway, I probably shouldn't have picked it up at 36. I should have done that when I was younger. Anyway, so for you, so now in New York City, one of the most competitive markets on the planet. For coach,
it's really difficult to live here. Yeah.
Yeah, it is a. What is the so for me when I think of big cities now? For the most part I've lived in big cities most of my adult life. I love big cities. I love the convenience. I love the craziness. I love the unpredictable. I love the jungle aspect of it, meaning the concrete jungle. Now I live in a super small town and life is much, much different, but I miss the city. I miss the competition. I miss the grind. I miss the energy, the competition, all of that. But when you're in a field like yours, how do you separate this? Because you got to compete. Like you're competing for clients because there's a lot of coaches out there. Like in one building, there's probably more coaches in one building in New York City than there is in my entire city. Just probably. How do you, and I'm competitive, so sometimes my competitive nature would kick in so much that I would forget what and why I'm doing what I'm doing. For you, in a much more competitive market, in a very competitive industry, how do you balance the competition that you have with business and then also keeping the client first?
I never thought of that. That's not something I think about.
Huh. Okay.
I mean, yeah, I think of how can I be better at my job and better at selling myself in a way that is, how am I best equipped to serve the people I want to help? I don't see it. I never looked at it. I mean, until now that you mention it, in a way that is that competitiveness. And I think in one sense, I am a little naive in that aspect, and that is why that brings a different side of me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not something that I think about.
Well, being naive, I wish I was naive about a lot, to be honest with you. I wish that I didn't see behind the curtain of a lot of different things. And like, for instance, with coaches, touring with speakers and coaches, getting to see behind the scenes how some of that stuff works. And, you know, that's why I asked that question, because it is very cutthroat. I've seen people just completely try to sabotage each other's businesses. I mean, I've seen these things. And that's another reason why I didn't want to have a coach, because I'm like, I don't want to have someone like that help me. But the truth is, we can learn something from anybody.
But I think that there's people for everyone. I am not going to be, I mean, clearly I am the kind of coach and speaker who will speak about things that resonate with me. It's not going to resonate with everyone. And it's not going to be, and the same way that you don't click with everyone, I am not someone who can coach people whose only objective is to be successful in the traditional kind of way. You know, I am not that kind of coach, because what I bring to the table is my authenticity in a way that has a very heavy spiritual aspect to it, and a way that is you targeted to people who want to be the best version of themselves or work on having a more fulfilling life, or the Wall Street guy who wants to be top of his game by doing anything necessary. That's not my kind of client, and it is a challenge to find corporations that my message aligns with, because I also think that the people who I want to work with are those who are going to, this message is going to land in a way that is going to be beneficial for their company. So it's really, I, for example, was trying to get to be a speaker for a company that would be a really great door opener for me, and then I realized that those CEOs I don't think are my clients, because yes, I can teach you productivity. I am very productive. I raised 2 children by myself in New York City. I do half Ironmans. I have a 9-to-5 job. I went to college raising my kids and working full time. I do all these things. So I can teach you how to be productive at the same time and use your time to maximize the 24 hours you have in your life. Now, what do you want to do that for? If you want to maximize your time to improve your business and to be happier and to have a more targeted, more intentional life, I'm all for it, and I can definitely help you. If what you want is, I don't know, run a marathon faster, I don't know if I can help you with that. I'd probably help you, but that's not the alignment. I don't think is there. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I do, and I really like how you said that. It's one of my questions was going to be, what's your ideal client? And you've expressed that very beautifully. And time management, I want to give you, first of all, I have single moms impress me. I can't imagine a more difficult job, because it's
there
hard.
Isn't one.
I don't even want to try. I watch, even with my partner and the kids that we raise together. I do my part, but I see what she does as a mother while still working too, and that impresses me, because I'm just the stepdad, and so I'm not going to be the main person that the kids go to, even though I'm always there and I'm ready to help anytime that I'm needed, and I love to help because they're so much fun. They're the best kids ever.
That's impossible, because the best kids ever are mine.
Whatever, we'll about it. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But I still watch what I don't see Jess when she's at work, but I know what she does at her work, and I would imagine that that's very grueling and tiring with her profession. And then she comes home and she does that as a mother and then some. And I'm just in awe that she's able to do it, because if I watch the kids for 4 hours in the day by myself, I need a nap. I don't drink, but then I want to drink. And, I'm like, whew, that was exhausting. I don't know how moms do it, but a single mother in New York City, full-time job, school, I admire that, because it's not easy. So if I want to learn time management and how to multitask, you seem like an amazing person to go to. An amazing person.
I have to say that, yes, all that is true. It is really difficult. And sometimes, you do have the days like today that you think, oh my God, I had to sell my car. Great. But anyway, but the point is not what you do, actually. It's not the actions. And you can speak to your partner about this. It's not about the things that you actually get to do. Is the capacity that takes in your mind to think about everything. Because while I'm talking to you, my daughter arrived and I told her, don't come into the bedroom because I'm speaking with you. At the same time, I'm thinking, is my son, he's supposed to leave school at like whatever time. And then I'm thinking also, oh, I left I went grocery shopping, so I hope she finds like the healthy stuff that I got for her. And at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, I also need to make them the dentist appointment. But they're teenagers now and living in New York City. They're super independent. And when I travel for work, they stay alone. And they really are amazing human beings. But the toll that takes and the bandwidth of your mind is exhausting. It's something that people who have not done it cannot imagine it, because it's like I said, obviously I have a phone and they have phones, but you're always on. There's no off. So for the past like 12 years, and it will continue until they're adults, it will always, my brain is always on, no matter what, So I'm not, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm complaining, because I'm not, but I'm saying it's something that not many people realize, because people who are when you have two people and usually one partner complains that the other one doesn't do enough, you still have someone you can delegate all of that to, you know? But then when you don't, you think, okay, it's all good. I don't have to delegate everything. But also you learn, you raise them in a way that there are people they are just very independent and wise children, because they have to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Macarena, please plug where people can find your website, your social media, where people can follow you, where they can learn more about your coaching and what you do. Please share that, and then close us out with anything that you feel led to share.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram, and I am real73 is my account, for obvious reasons. And my website is realcoaching.cc. What I would like to close with, I love that. Let me think. Yes, I would say, don't believe your thoughts. Believe only the ones that serve you for the better. But the others, you can just let them go. Watch them go as clouds in the sky.
I like that. That's beautiful. Macarena, thank you so much for your time, and wishing you the best in all you do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It was great. It was fun.
Thank you.